now I'm just gonna sit at the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away.
What is maritime?
Maritime, simply put, relates to navigation or commerce on the high seas.
Some say money makes the world go round. I say ships move the money that make the world move.
Who navigates those large international ships?
How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and borders by way of our local Bahamas Defense Force.
It is very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small amount of Bahamians are employed.
Maritime Matters.
And pleasant good evening to one and all. Welcome. Maritime Tech Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Payne. This is Tuesday, the 9th day of July, 2024. It's Independence Day, people. And boy, look here, they got something going on in Fort Charlotte tonight. Everybody gonna be hanging out there. The big jumping rush out starts at 2 a.m. And let me tell you something. We're gonna bring in our Independence Day the way we always do, in grand style. So it's Tuesday again. And if it's Tuesday, it's Maritime Tech Matters. Our topics for tonight's show, ladies and gentlemen. Narrows in on various international maritime matters. In this vein, we shall address the following. Cruise port, Nassau Cruise Port, that is to create 350 jobs by way of a $35 million water park. That means a big, huge pool, big, long water slides. I don't use how ships built these days. These cruise ships, they have all these things on board. They got pools, they got water slides, but we have one bigger than any one ship can hold. And that is to entice those people who like to stay on the ship and be around those pools and on those water slides. The kids, we want them all. Come ashore and we'll have it in a grand way. So we're going to focus tonight on what is projected for NCP, Nassau Cruise Port, creating many jobs by way of installing on site a large water park. It's competing with the major resorts. You know, the day pass scheme that these major resorts have, where people from the cruise ship go in. They spend the day, use up all the amenities, eat free, drink free. Well, you're free, you pay for it. Pay like $100 a head, $100 a head, I think, somewhere in that range, between $100 and $200 a head, to spend the full day at the resort with eats and drinks and beaches and slides and everything that the amenities that the hotel have to offer they could deal with, once they don't go in the room, hey? So the hotels are making a handsome amount of their revenue from these day pass schemes. The tourists enjoy it, the hotels love selling it, so it's really a win-win, eh? But is this water park that's going to be placed just to the north, I understand, the northwest section of the port as it stands, is that going to take away from the ones that were going to the hotels? Or would that just be an addition for the ones who would stay on the ship anyway, because they're not interested in hopping in no cab or taking a water ferry to go to a resort? They want to just come off the ship, hang out in the port, and go back on the ship, or even come hang out in the port and then go downtown, walk around a little while, get a little bite, ice cream, whatever they want, and then go back to the ship. We will discuss that tonight. What sort of impact should this additional attraction have on the downtown stores revenue. Now we know those stores downtown, they make a pretty handsome revenue, eh? And we know that a lot of those revenues, if not 80%, then 90% of it comes from the cruise ship passengers. So if some of those passengers are inclined to stay in the port and use a water park, do you think that's going to really hinder the ones that wanted to come ashore and spend some money downtown or wherever they go and spend a couple of dollars? It's not going to stop tours. People want to do tours. They do that from the time before the ship even arrives. They book their tours. And when they come off the ship, some of them go and try and find an individual that can offer this tour, and they take the tour because they want the tour. Excuse me. So is it going to be a big conflict with this revenue stream coming from those cruise ships if a handful of them, and I dare say a handful. Why do I say a handful? Because if we get 14, 15,000 passengers on a cruise ship, and only 500 go to the water theme park, you still get 13,500. So why should anybody cry about that? Anyway, you call in 326 is it 8522 or 8255? That's 8255. 326 8255. Call in, let us know how you feel about this revenue stream being impacted by the port bringing in this millions of dollars worth of water sport recreation by way of pools and water slides and that type of thing. They call it a water theme park, eh? And we would ask again, what impact would that have on the projected RCI's Royal Beach Club project? We know that Royal Beach Club is now getting ready to complete and open up their resort on the western side of Paradise Island. And even when that was being done, there were questions as to whether that will impact the revenue stream of the passengers going downtown, the revenue streams of the passenger going to do the day passes. So I don't know if we can hear anything, any backlash from entities saying that, look, if they do that, they can take some. But I can tell you my view when we get back to it. But, you know, what are some additional shoreside prospects to augment this? And this water park scheme and other attractions from this destinations. Can we think of additional things we could do for the port of Nassau, for cruise ship passengers to be inclined or enticed to actually leave that ship and come ashore? Those are the major things we want to talk about tonight, my dear listener. And we move on to the solar technology. We'll also speak a lot about the terawatt era from solar. The terawatt, we want to know, what is a terawatt of solar power? What is a terawatt generally? How much solar power is installed worldwide at the end of 2023, cumulatively? So from the time solar came around, how much was installed worldwide as far as wattage is concerned? And we got kilowatts, then we got megawatts, then we got terawatts. We'll talk a little bit about this terawatt of power that solar is providing so far, and how they're going to move into many more terawatts moving into 2040 and 2050, because those are the deadlines that the United Nations give for the world to be rid of fossil fuel use. How much solar power is installed worldwide at the end of 2023? What percentage of the world power availability is anticipated to be by way of solar by 2050? In other words, all the power generated worldwide, because they can't use fossil fuel no more in 2050, or not even beyond 2040, what percentage of all that power is anticipated to be solar? Because we know we got other sources of power that will not be fossil fuel. Fossil fuel is coal, fossil fuel is gas, diesel, bunker C, all that is fossil fuel, even natural gas. All that will be done away with as of 2040. They cannot no longer burn them to put emissions into the environment. So they will have to turn to other renewable sources, and we call them renewable sources because these things already exist. These things don't emit fossil fuel or don't emit carbon, and so we're talking basically primarily solar, primarily wind farms, and then the other percentage, as they have already, like 10% of the power generated in the world today is from nuclear power. You got ships that use nuclear to move those ships, like big aircraft carriers and that type of thing. So we would have what percentage would be solar, what percentage would be wind farm, what percentage would be hydro, what percentage would be nuclear, and all the rest of that good stuff. Alcohol, things that will not emit carbon. It's going to be shared up, but we will see the projection for solar as we move forward. That is what we're going to discuss tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Please be sure to stay tuned as we delve into discussion on those maritime issues. Be warned, we are locked. We are loaded with information, so please do not touch that dial. We're talking maritime, people. You're listening to Maritime Matters. At this point, we move to our first break, and when we return, we will engage tonight's discussions. So listen up. You don't want to miss this one. This is going to be hot, hot, hot.
At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection. At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart.
You are live, listening to me, Captain Glenn Bain, yours truly, on our show, Maritime Matters. Our sponsors for the night, as you just heard, One-on-One Pharmacy, and also Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport. For all your medication needs, check out my little cousin Shantia McBride and a lovely team at One-on-One Pharmacy. Say hello to Joy when you go on the East Street store. Fill your prescription at the store. Send your refills via the online site, oneononepharmacy.com. The three locations are East Street South, Charles Saunders Highway, and of course Explorers Bay in downtown Freeport. We are secondly sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. That's BMC. That's us. We do maritime, your full slate of ISPS maritime security services. At this point, I say good night to my good Auntie May. I wouldn't even call her old boy because she's young. My good young Auntie May up there, right up there in Freeport, ladies and gentlemen. Auntie May, how are you, my dear? I am here. You know, I'm thinking about you all the time, loving you all the time. Auntie May is 91 and going on 92, people. And she is still going strong. So I say to my number one fan, Annie Mae, you keep it going, darling. You tell Lorraine and Bernice and Margot and all of, tell everybody hello for me. Because I know at last I see all of y'all. I gotta come up to Freeport and give some shout. Hail up Annie Mae. It is my esteemed pleasure, dear listener, to introduce you to the man behind the controls tonight, our wonderful producer. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present you the insatiable, the man of the hour, the man with all the power. He is fully able. He is quite capable. The one and only Mr. Kishno Jones. Yeah, he had a 3.0. I tell you, boy, Kishno behind the controls tonight. So, in safe hands, people. That's the man for the job. You're listening to Maritime Matters, and on this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matters as weekly at 17:05. That's 5:05 p.m. every Tuesday. Here on Love 97 FM. That's 5:05. Right after the news. The news break at 5 o'clock. Then you hear our song start playing. Hey, dung, 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 sitting on the dock of the bay. And that's how we roll up in here. Our show, the purpose of our show is to highlight persons that made significant contributions to maritime in the Bahamas and to sensitize Bahamians of opportunities in the maritime sector. We also cover current maritime issues from the domestic and international maritime fields. Again, the lines are open. If you want to reach us, you can reach us at 326-8255, at 326-8255. You can call at any time. You can't disturb nothing. We put things on pause. The show is for you people. We got a lot of information we want to share, we want to give out, and we want you to be a part of that information. So, we go to our hot topic for the night, the cruise port. It is said that cruise port is going to install a water park. I don't know all the details of the water park, but I imagine it'll be a big pool. I don't know if it could be a 50-meter Olympic-sized pool, but they're going to have a huge pool, and they're going to have a lot of slides. And if you ever been on a Disney cruise, or most of the cruise ships now, they got all kind of water slides and stuff on board those ships. So this one in Nassau Harbor is supposed to rival any single ship when it comes to people running around and in and out of the pool and in and on and off the slides and that type of thing. And of course, you can have your beverages for children and for adults. A little collect here, a little bud there. That kind of operation going on. So even if you feel like going outside of the port, you ain't going to be stuck on the ship. Just come ashore and relax yourself. You might spend a couple of dollars, but you spend money on the ship too when you're buying the cake. So ain't nothing free in life. But we gonna have it there for you. And that's how our port proposes to continue expanding and making itself more and more attractive. And according to the news, the dailies, it says Nassau Cruise Port is aiming to create a further 350 full-time jobs through a new $35 million water park attraction. $35 million ain't no little pennies, eh? We talk about a water park, $35 million, that's going to be extravagant. Got to be extravagant. It's targeted for completion within the next 18 months. So, if they start, I think they started to clear the grounds already. So, by the end of next year, that we should be breaking champagne bottles and clacking glass and saying, yep, welcome our new spanking, big time water park within the new cruise port, the New Providence Nassau Cruise Port, eh? And the dailies, I quote, it will be right behind the amphitheater. And that's Mr. Mike Morrow, who's the CEO, of course, of the Nassau Cruise Port. He's telling us where it's going to be. We know where the amphitheater is now. You can't miss it. You see it, the little, look like a flying saucer on top of some stuff where they have the concerts. Well, someplace behind that, to the northwest of that, is going to be this huge water theme park where people could go to relax, chill out, have drinks, and the kids can play all day. So the green space behind the amphitheater, it will be in the shape of a finger circle. I don't know what it's a finger circle, but I guess it'll be like a swivel, like a hook, I don't know. Once the project is completed, it will create 350 jobs. That's a significant increase in the number of jobs that will be happening at Nassau Cruise Port. It will be a best-in-class experience. So a best-in-class experience means top of the line, right? It's top of the line experience. So if we got a theme park being created to take in an additional fee, because I could guarantee you they probably got less than 100 staff right now. I could be wrong. I believe that they have less than 100. So if they're going to get plus 350, that's a big boost for occupation or jobs at that new port, eh? The cruise port's planned water park will likely be competing for passenger traffic with the similar water-based attractions at Atlantis and Bahamas. So Bahama has water theme park where a lot of cruise ship passengers go now. Even Bahamians sometimes go to the water theme park, you pay, get your day pass, and you just play all day. Your child birthday or somebody, you just take the child and let them play till they're tired, and that's what children love. So the port knows this. So they're gonna automatically be in competition with the major hotels where people coming off the ship wants to basically go and do that day pass so that they can do the water park. So they wouldn't have to go all the way to the hotels anymore. It costs them a couple of dollars anyhow. So I guess the hotels need to look, put a slant eye and have a slant eye look at that, eh? As well as those available to visitors on board their vessels. The new amenity may also fuel concern among cruise tourism that's dependent businesses that their customer base will be further eroded as passengers will have even less incentive to leave the cruise port's property. Now, that's a different story. The cruise port property. Now, these people, I can understand the part with the resorts that offer water theme park having concerns. But the downtown stores and whatnot, they don't go down there they won't be in there bathing suit and this and that. If they want to come downtown, they said who want to come downtown and shop, they come in. I cannot see this being a conflict to that type of activity. And I could be wrong. Again, call in and let me know, 326-8255. So it goes on to say Nassau Cruise Port's expansion comes amid Royal Caribbean's Western Paradise Island site clearance in preparation for its Royal Beach Club project. And we mentioned that already. We know the Royal Beach Club is being built. We know that it's going to take mainly passengers from RCCL, Royal Caribbean Cruise Line ships, or RCI ships, right? Royal Caribbean International. So it's going to take passengers from that particular company. They're going to book from on board the ship. And I don't know if they're going to be open up to everybody, like people who live in the hotels downtown. They want to go and spend a day on Paradise Island at the RCI Beach Club. I don't know if that'll be open to them. You know, you can come and pay at the gate sort of thing, or you have to book through the cruise line as a cruise passenger. I guess they'll let us know that in time, eh? But Mr. Moore told the Tribune Business the sheer volume of passenger arrivals make it impossible for all to stay at the port. So what he's saying is, again, if you get, we had up to 29,000 in one day, I think was the record. Somewhere just under 30,000 one day, eh? So if you get on average 15,000, which is half of that, or even 10,000, you're not going to get more than 500 around this beach, this new water theme park, eh? If you get 1,000, that place will be crowded. Now, they say they can hold 2,500 at Royal Beach Club. But Royal Beach Club is a lot bigger, space-wise, than this area in the cruise port designated for this type of activity. So again, I don't see that being any big deal. And even the resorts like Atlantis and Bahama, they get volumes of people coming to them because a lot of people want to gamble And again, people want to just utilize the areas and the spaces to have a good time, to have drinks and chill out and just be in that environment. So they're not going to get that in the cruise port, and then they may not want to be in the cruise. They might not want to be in the hot sun. So they go to the major resorts and do their thing, eh? So that's how we're looking at the Nassau cruise port operation, and we will have competition like everything else. Why shouldn't we have competition? We're competing for the major resorts. We're competing for the money of those who want water sport activities for pleasure and leisure. So you have to share it up a little bit. But we got plenty of people, eh? We got plenty of people, and the more things you ever been to, say, what's that big place where all them casinos out west? Las Vegas. You realize how much large resorts in Las Vegas, and all of them offering casino experiences, casino dancing, what do you call it, the cabaret stuff type things, and all of them offering basically the same thing. But they can't have too much, because the volume of people going there for that, they're going to need a lot. They're going to need too much. So the volume of people we got coming to Nassau Harbor, which in my opinion probably could rival what they have coming into those areas at any one time. Because now remember, those cruise ships carrying thousands each. And if you get 5 or 6 of them, you get anywhere between 20 and 25, 30,000 people. I don't think you see all them people moving around. Now, mind you, that don't mean every single person coming off. But I think the majority of those people come off, especially if they have these opportunities. But how are we going to augment this? How are we going to say they have the new port with all the restaurants that's selling Bahamian delights and ice creams and the t-shirts and all the rest of that, the straw market right across the road. They have this water theme park where you can just relax and have drinks, your tropical drinks, and your children could be on slides all day and that type of thing. I don't think that would be free, but it is what it is. You have your hotels, which you can catch a cab or catch a water taxi, and you go and you utilize all the amenities, and you get on those very nice beaches. Because some people don't like pool. They won't be in the sea. They won't be on those nice beaches with that crystal clear water and that nice soft sand under their foot, eh? You can't take that. You can't get that anywhere else but at the hotel resort. If you're coming in on cruise ship for one day and you want all those amenities, you're not going to get that in the port. You're not going to, could get it at RCI too. But RCI, again, is Royal Caribbean, eh? So you got Carnival and Disney and NCL and all those other lines that they want to put their foot in the sand too, eh? So I think that would be a plus. But what I really would like to see added to the port experience, and this is based on my experience traveling around the world. I've traveled many places running marathons. I've traveled many places doing training while I worked for government, doing various courses as I came through my career, just vacationing. So I'm well traveled. And I can tell you, we got the waterfront, for example, in Halifax. Those of you who would have gone to Halifax, you would know that when you walk the waterfront, they call it a river walk, I think. You are walking from one end of the port to the next end, and you're seeing nothing but fine restaurants, places, sports bars, exercise gyms, the things you seeing along that road. And I ain't talking about cheap restaurants. So why can't we in this country match that? Along that strip of land between Nassau Cruise Port and Porter's Key Dock. You know those places which used to be Betty K and Tropical Shipping and Seaboard Marine and Pioneer Shipping, and you can actually fill in and make a bulkhead along the waterway. Take it about 300-400 feet off from where they are now. Make a hard standing. And the owners of those properties could be so inclined to build high rises. State-of-the-art high rises. Not really cheap, but I mean these people got money, eh? High rises that they can sell because it's overlooking the harbor. And the bottom floors are all restaurants and sports bars and bars and excuse me, and all the goodness that people like to do. And the passenger can now walk from the ship through the port and walk all the way to Porter's Key Dock, which is not very far, by the way. Walk from the cruise port to Porter's Key Dock along the water. There's nothing to their left but the sea. Because we ain't one of those ships docking there and there. Oh, I gotta go. You go someplace else and do your docking and thing. Mind you, we could, if you want to keep the marinas, maybe we would allow that. Because the yachts are pretty. We don't mind them looking at the yachts and whatnot, eh? But they can walk on a hard standing that will be nice tiles and all the rest of that, different type layers, just like how they have in Halifax, and they can stop for ice cream. They have so much things they can do. You know how enticing it would be to come off the ship and make that trot down to Porter's Key, and you see nothing but nice stores and a little entertainment, music here, that type of thing along the way and back. And you can't beat that with a bat. And this is where we need to go. Because if you walk the Thames River in London, you walk from on the opposite side of the Houses of Parliament, where Big Ben and them hanging out, and you go to the east, passing along the London Eye, and those of us who would have been to London, the London Eye is an iconic structure. It's something that when you think of London, you think of city of Manchester, you think of the London Eye on the Thames River, Big Ben on the Thames River, and you go along and you got museums and restaurants and you're passing underneath all those various bridges, London Bridge, Tower Bridge, this Macbeth Bridge, this bridge, Lambeth, all those bridges, you're just passing and walking and it's like non-stop. But you have entertainment all the way. But these people don't have no cruise ship passengers coming to do that. This is just people who are in London. So why can't we have our destination, Nassau Harbor, replicate the spirit of the waterfront walk in Halifax, the waterfront walk on the Thames River? Why we gotta be so way behind and don't have no insight and just don't check? Just let all them people come here and they ain't trying to find things for them to be excited about. We who travel, and a lot of us in this country travel, we know what these other countries are doing to attract people. We can do the same thing. It don't take that much to figure this out. You ain't need no GCE or BTE, but you need the BT to figure that out if you want to see the Thames River. Because once you go to the Thames River, that means you got your BT, yeah, you've been to England. That's what that's all about. So those who get BT, they know what they're talking about. But you ain't need no BT to figure this out. With the BT, it's really a no-brainer, eh? So we talking about getting that downtown area. First of all, we want to get that big Ferris wheel windmill thing like the London Eye, like the Singapore Flyer, right? It's the same thing. Why can't we have that someplace between Nassau Cruise Port and Porter's Key? And people pay to go on it like everything else, and you carry them in the museum before they go on to tell them what to look for, what they expect to see. Because they're overlooking the whole harbor, seeing Atlantis, or you on top of Atlantis, you on top of Bahamas. You could even look all the way back and see Albany. You could see everything, the next side of Paradise Island, past Porter's Key. Come on, man, all the way past Terawatt Key, Cable Beach. Why? You know how exciting that would be for somebody, because I can tell you what they see in London is not as exciting as that. What they see in Singapore is not as exciting as that. What they see, and I think they got one now in Las Vegas also, they got them all over the place. I saw one in France, in Paris, so they're all over the place, but ain't none of them, not one of them, is in a place where the seas are so pretty that they are seeing nothing but beautiful beaches and beautiful seas when they get to the top. The little water tower and the resorts, and they icon buildings that they can point out. But they're not the ones that you're going in that flyer to see. You're really going to capture the beauty of our harbor area. Those lovely, anybody been on top of the point where they had that I think Great Cliff Garden restaurant up there, something called something View. And when you look down, and yes, I've been up there, of course. When you look down, you feel like you're almost in an aircraft looking out, and that is such a beautiful and stunning sight. I mean, I didn't even want to sit to the, because that is such a lovely sight. And this is what you want people to capture and see when they get in this flyer. Or this eye, or whatever we want to call it. So, yes, we can improve, augment, whatever they want to do in the Nassau container port. Whatever they want to do. And you know what? In addition to putting that eye, that Nassau eye in place, or Nassau flyer, whatever we want to call it. We call it the Nassau flywheel. I don't know what we can call it. But in addition to that, we still want that zip line, eh? You can imagine, we want a zip line at least 50 feet in the air. Maybe more, maybe 100 feet in the air. And people have to climb, in a circular path to get to the top. And that's where they hook up and connect to the zip line. And they ride from Prince George Wharf to 1/3 of the way, probably there by what area? Which used to be 601. In the back there, you have your first station. And then you take another couple steps up, because of course they got to slant the zip down in order for you to keep moving it. So they'll have another 3 or 4 flights where you go and you get on the zip again and you ride from there to Porter's Key. And if you want to get real fancy, you could take that little foot and go all the way to Montague Beach, eh? But we ain't trying to get that fancy. Then let them go to Porter's Key and check out some conch. We can do some fixing up at Porter's Key now, as we know. Check out your conch, get your fried fish, and then they can either walk back or zip back, because if they're a little overweight and they get tired along the way, they can always go up on the zip and zip their way back home, eh? That's how we do this. So, with a little intuition, it ain't take much to see that these are the things that persons on cruise ships like to experience. Even if they just do the zip line to go to Porter's Key and come back to get that zip line experience over this beautiful harbor we got. And don't stop there. We're going to take that zip line all the way to Fish Fry. So we'll have another 2 or 3 zip stops where they can get off on every stop if they want. And then, of course, when they're coming back on, you pay again. We ain't trying to let you get off and don't pay no more. And go all the way from our key to Porter's Key. Just zipping. And that is a simple thing to do. That will enhance our port that much more. And the higher that zip line be, the better it be for our port. So ladies and gentlemen, those are just some of my ideas when it comes to enhancement of our destination, Nassau. And of course, I can't stop there. Because we know that we could kill Nassau because Nassau is the only cruise ship port that the government owns. The government ain't getting no more cruise ship ports but Nassau. But yet this country named the Bahamas. How silly is that, eh? That, in my opinion, is extremely ridiculously silly. And you'll wonder if we got people working for government. Because if you get all these islands and you only created one port for cruise ship to come that the government is responsible for, and you have the same thing in Freeport where the port has basically replicated and say, well, we got one too. But the port is not the government. The port is for Freeport, Grand Bahama only. Government is for the Bahamas. And the cruise ships decided, hey, we can get into this action now. We want some ports for ourselves. And they got a little greedy because they got more than one. Now our government only get one. But some of those cruise ship entities have 2 or 3 they could go to. Disney just built a second one. RCI, they got the one on Coco Key, and I think they got another one on Princess Key or something. It's a bit Carnival on all of them. Carnival get a bunch up there. They got Half Moon Key, Princess Key. They got NCL, Nassau Cruise Lines, got Stirrup Key. You got MSC now, which is a big cruise line as well. They got Ocean Key. Well, we got numerous of them can call it Bimini, eh? At Resort World Bimini. So we got lots of cruise ship ports, but the government is only responsible for one. And how much islands we have where we could have more cruise ship ports? And we know the low-hanging fruit is right there in Morgan's Bluff, eh? There is no reason why today we do not already have a cruise ship port at Morgan's Bluff. And I say that because it's such an easy transition. You see, Morgan's Bluff used to take bulk carriers. They already dredged for 28 to 30 feet. Well, it may not be maintained to still be like as deep as it was, but it's very deep. So with a little more dredging, you can take that to 40 feet and be just as deep as Nassau Harbor, eh? Or you can take it to 50 feet. Because the cruise ships are not going to get any smaller. And if you dredge one time, take it all the way down. Take it down to 50 feet and extend the deep area to create a turning basin on the inside. And that wharf, you extend that all the way back where you can take 2 or 3 cruise ships. And that area where the mailboat go, and that little canal cut in there somewhere down in there, you could improve that for the mailboats and make that much bigger so that the mailboats, you could have more mailboats. And guess what? You see, I just getting started with this thing, you know. I just getting started with this thing. Because when you think of the mailboats going into Morgan's Bluff, we have a lot of mailboats. And I spoke to my good friend Edwin Taylor last week, and I mentioned it on the show last time that we're supposed to come up with a solution to find out why are the mailboats not taking freight directly from the U.S., Florida, to their island where they get the mail back. Because there's no reason why these mailboats cannot be Caribbean coded. Because if they can't be Caribbean coded, they shouldn't be getting registration under the Port Department, because the BMA is not issuing the local safety certificate to ensure that they are up to safety standards, where they could be going into the U.S. without the Coast Guard even being inclined to try and detain them. Excuse me again. So this thing is so serious that first of all we need the intuitive eye to see Nassau Cruise Port. They already have a lot of stores and whatnot in there. They already have the little entertainment. Now they're going to get this water theme park, or this water park. Then they're going to put the big Nassau Flyer or Nassau Eye, that people could just go in and see the entire island of New Providence and Paradise Island. Excuse me again. So we're going to take that to the next level by putting in zip lines 50, 60 feet up in there. And you could zip your way from the cruise port to Porter's Key, and again from the cruise port to our key. And we're going to improve Porter's Key. I even ain't going down that road today. Man, I've been on Porter's Key yesterday, and let me tell you something. It took me about half hour just to get from one end of the dock to the next. Just to get to a mailboat to make some discussions. It took me half hour because of the traffic flow being all clogged up. And it's only clogged up because people going to Porter's Key, trying to get their stuff, whether it be one box or a container load of stuff, going for a store on an island somewhere, trying to get that stuff on the mailboat, and everybody want to get their stuff on, so people got to go the same route. So the traffic stand up for a couple of minutes and then it move 1 inch, and then it stand up for a couple of minutes, move 1 inch, and it's so frustrating. But if those in authority, being the Ministry of Transport and the Port Department, would put their foot down and ensure or direct that every mailboat operator has a site over the hill somewhere away from Porter's Key, where that exchange can happen without people coming on Porter's Key, without those big food chains, vehicles coming on Porter's Key, because there's no need for them to be coming out there. Hey, you definitely want a tourist out there with all that moving around. So let's divest, I don't know if that's the best word because we ain't invest yet, all these activities from Porter's Key to locations over the hill. Do your transactions there. So the lady with the little box that she want to send for her mommy on the island, she don't have to go between all them big trucks and whine her way around all this old juggernaut, everything stuck up on the dock to try and get up somebody to come get a box to take and register to get on that. No, she can go directly to the office over the hill, park a car, somebody can come and get the box, she pay the office, they put it in a container somewhere and store it somewhere, and when it's time for them things to go to the ship, they put all those things in 1 or 2 containers and they drive them to the ship. That's it. You know how much vehicles would not have to go on the dock? And this is supposed to be common sense. I talking, you know. They say, you know, I mean, I got no BTE, but you ain't need no BTE for this. So, okay, back to the cruise port. And we need to go back to Morgan's Bluff. The mailboat, and this way I go on. Mailboat, all those mailboats, if they want to clear, when they leave Florida, they could go right to Morgan's Bluff, which is the first stop coming in before you reach any major island, except Grand Bahama and Abaco maybe. But you clear right there, or go straight to your island and clear. Or you could stop off to a couple different islands, because it ain't nothing wrong with you stopping to this island and the island just to drop off a container with the stuff for that island. Because we got containerized cargo ships now, eh? We ain't got no ships out there using crane to put things in the hole and take things out of the hole, and they need dock space, and they need, no. We got row. You fill the container, roll it on, roll it off, and you empty it at your own pace. You have an agent on this island? Here, that's the container, lock. That's the key. You can distribute the stuff after we leave. We ain't gonna hang up here. Go to the next island, drop off 2 containers. This for you all, agent. These are 2 keys for them 2 containers. You deal with your people. And then Porter's Key will no longer have to be congested. So you got 2 things going on. When you have to deal with freight in Nassau to go to the family island, because of course everybody on the family island ain't gonna have that stuff coming from Florida, although they could save some money. So they still got family in Nassau, they want to send them stuff. But the family in Nassau would take the stuff to the over-the-hill depot for that vessel, and when it's time for that vessel to take on freight, those things will already be in containers at that depot, and they only got to drive the container out to the dock and roll it straight on the ship. And then we can start having some peace and quiet on Porter's Key, where people coming out there to dine, and well, we get fixed. We get fixed that little operation we got going on with that sewage system out there. That got fixed. Man, that place be so stink sometimes. I don't know why that can't fix. Anywhere else in the world that would have been fixed and stay fixed. Why we can't catch up? Let's change that to a brand new system if we have to. That need to fix. Porter's Key can't be nothing with that being the way that is. So we need to fix that. Then we'll fix up Porter's Key. Then our tourists can now use it. The tourists will be more inclined to go hang out on Porter's Key if they ain't getting a big bunch of big trucks and containers and things coming through all the time. You know, they scared. They're in the taxi and they scared. So we got to make it an enticement for ships to want to come to Porter's Key, or tourists to want to come to Porter's Key. Whether they come by zip line, whether they walk the harbor front or the back or whatever along the waterway, which will be a short walk if they fix it up properly, or whether they want to come by taxi, it doesn't matter. They can come to Porter's Key, they can sit down and feel comfortable without a bunch of vehicles passing up and down, a bunch of hoodlums. No, we got to fix up Porter's Key, man. So ladies and gentlemen, that's where we need to go. And I think it's about high time we look at going down that road. So we'll have the port of Nassau improve. We will have a cruise port at Morgan's Bluff. And we can do that by the end of next year. We just need the authorities to want to make that happen. By the end of the next year, we Bahamians would pay into that. You don't even have to go get a loan for that. Sell shares to the Bahamians. Man, you need 500 million. We Bahamians will contribute, once we own the shares, the $500 million. Now the NASA cruise port only needed about 340 million. Well, they wanted more extravagant than that. So we talk about $300 million or maybe 250 million, whatever the case may be. We, the Bahamian people, can raise that by buying shares. We won't own it now. We can raise that funds if it is set up properly the way it should be set up. So again, I ain't leaving Porter's Key, I ain't leaving Morgan's Bluff alone, because Morgan's Bluff is ready for the picking. It's ripe and ready. Let's pick it and do something with it. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Maritime Matters. On this show, we talk maritime. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain, and as we move to our second break, I would like to say when we return, we're going to talk about the solar generation. We are going to talk about powering by solar. We're in this hot country, and boy, these days hotter than ever. So we got to get on our solar. So until I return, just hang on there. Don't change this dial.
At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection. At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Maritime Matters. We've been running on scot-free, boy. Nobody checking me today. No calls? And okay, if you don't call, then keep talking. The number to reach us here in the studio is 326-8255. You're coming in live from Love 97 FM studios. And I am Captain Glenn Bain, your host on Maritime Matters. Our topic for the night covers the cruise port, Nassau Cruise Port expansion with a water park. And our second big topic we're going to now is solar power. The Terawatt era, or the era of Terawatt in solar. So it is said that in a couple of years, solar will replace what we know as gas of today. Gas, diesel, anything with fuel, solar will replace that and provide the same amount of power to keep things going. Got a call on line 1? Calling on Maritime Matters. Thank you for calling.
Yes, Captain Glenn B. And the man will grow me up. The man will grow me up. Yeah, man. Yes, sir. All right, before you touch on the solar, you had this topic before, man. We was talking about this before Port of Sea Docking Day, man.
Yeah. We talk about Thomas Key, we talk about Prince George Wharf, we talk about Morgan's Bluff.
Right.
You got to keep talking because people need to start listening.
Right, just keep it relevant. Yeah, but I agree with you, man, because you ever put on a pilot to Betty K over on the Fort Everglades side? Because I recall it and I talked about this before, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's so easy, like how you saying, man, put the pilot on the ground, put your stuff on it, wrap it with the plastic, and the forklift is coming to it and put it in the storm. And the next time you see that Nassau, you can reckon that from on Betty K on this side.
Same thing with tropical shipping. Tropical shipping, you can't go by that ship to carry nothing. You got to go to the house.
In 2024, we still doing our foolishness out there on board of Key, man. It's hectic, man.
Yeah.
And then I agree with you on too, but then the situation with the sewer out there by the bridge. I thought they moved that and they carried it over the hill by the dump, by the city dump.
Well, the thing about that, Brother Muff, let me tell you what the deal is with that. Between Bay Street and Shirley Street, that whole strip, that used to be water. They fill that in. So they can't have no cesspit in that area. So that takes the vacuum, takes all the discharge from all the toilets and thing in that area.
Right.
But the thing is, they just don't maintain it. So it's
Yeah, they don't
all
yeah.
bad, and
Yeah.
you know sometimes it causes. I understand that's why sometimes the counters get messed up and.
Right, it did, because it did have a compilation a couple of years ago, a couple of times, but
Yeah.
it's 2024, they have a state-of-the-art sewer system with nothing sent, man. Like that old one with the yellow, used to smell that too, and then that one by the bridge, they old, man, they the 70s type, man. They need to upgrade that
Yeah,
to state-of-the-art type.
They need to plan that after so many years, you need to just change it and upgrade it.
Right, and upgrade it, man, because I agree with you, by Nassau Street, by Nassau Motors on Commonwealth Bank, even in rain, they need a truck to get people on the Commonwealth Bank on East Bay Street up in there by Martin Bakery and then up in there.
Yeah.
3 feet of water be up in there.
Yeah, they build that over the sea. That's why.
Right. Okay, I see why in there going to be so low.
Yeah,
okay, then, yeah, man, but then we celebrating, we are, by the way, happy Independence Bahamas. We celebrating 51 years tomorrow. And then we so behind, man. You say, like you say, you ain't gotta be no rocket scientist or like a fella like you would have like 12, 13 GCs. You ain't gotta be like you gotta be that smart. So, man, you gotta be the common man to think with these things and get these things out, man.
Yeah, there's easy stuff, man. A lot of them are low-hanging fruits. I mean, we got a whole Bahamas and government only own one part. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, man. I see we so backwards, man. That's why they say many people don't put flag on the car and wear a t-shirt and all these that and put up flag. They're very disappointed and mad, man. That's how the state would be in at 51 years, man. We've been way for it with these jokey leaders and these jokey parties and they got their own agenda, man. And they're like, I say, these low lying fruits. So they pick some of these, they'll get a second time, and then if they pick some of these, they know they have their own agenda. They'll go deal with that then boom, one time.
You know
Put it there.
Yeah, man. Well, I thank you.
All right, yeah, touch on the phone then. All right, boss.
Take care, my brother.
All right, you too.
Roger. Yeah, that's my good friend. We all go up together in Bamboo Town. I don't know why he's trying to make it look like I'm so much older than him, but all us go up together, man. Yeah, I was a little older than him, like a big brother, but he's my little brother, and all us go up together. All us know but coming up in certain ways and looking out for each other and keeping other people intact and on point for other young ones who are trying to go astray and that type of thing. So, yeah, man, I be so excited when he called. And he's on point as always. We need to fix some of these things. The government need to make sure Porter's Key is, something happens with Porter's Key. We need to do that transaction like it's done in the States, like I say. Any one of these vessels, when they go to the States, you go to the mail boat in the States, you can't go straight to the boat to carry nothing. They got a warehouse by the airport. You go there and you drop your stuff and you don't see that no more. You don't know how to get on the boat, what container they put that in. All you know is when I reach Nassau, your stuff reach. And that's how it should be in Nassau. There's no reason why we got to be doing this backward thing with everybody going directly to the vessel. Now, that was cool when the vessel was small and we had that much freight and the stuff could just sit on the side of the dock, so you ain't really have to be and we had all these big, huge trucks with carrying stuff, building supply. Our country has developed so much that the buildings that are going up are so huge. We need a lot more things, so the ships have gotten bigger. And you know they got the mail boat all used to be under 500 gross tons. In fact, they used to be like under 300 gross tons. They used to be just a boat with a nice, good bow with a cargo hold and a crane on it. And now they got huge monsters, the ramp that they can lower, and you drive containers on, drive containers off, drive your vehicle on, drive your vehicle off, and they're ready to go. So, because that has been morphosized into something much bigger, volume-wise, we need to stop this bringing everything to Porter's Key operation. And each one of those entities with a mail bag, and even those without a mail bag, who want to negotiate cargo or freight, they need to have a location, a depot, over the hill, where they do their business with their customers. You don't come on Porter's Key to do your business with your customers. Even if somebody buying a ticket to go as a passenger, you do that over the hill. When you come out here, you get drop off with your bag, and then you go on board the ship with your ticket. You come out there, people can wait on you to go on the boat and buy a ticket. That's more traffic. So that's where we need to go, and I can't put it no simpler than that. Some people may get upset because they ain't doing what they're supposed to do as far as making these things happen. Ain't no plan, nowhere to get it done. And you talk to some of the people who work and you say, oh boy, I know what they're doing. Ain't nobody know what nobody doing because there's no plan. So let's get a plan when we got these things in place, when this can happen, when that can happen. And then we ain't got to always be like, boy, you know, we just waiting on this because we don't do that. And then the full plan is in effect. That's what we need to hear. So, okay, Muff tell me don't go to solar then, but we could go now. We only got another 20 minutes, but let's go to solar anyhow. Why are we going to solar? We go into solar because we know that by 2040, the entire world, based on the United Nations decision, all countries unanimously agreed to this decision, that there will be no more emission of carbon. And carbon comes from most sources of fuel today, eh? Kerosene, oil, gas, natural gas, diesel, fuel oil, whatever, all that stuff. Coal especially. You know, coal is carbon stored in the earth under the trees. Because the tree want to be able to use that carbon if things get tough. So they store it. They don't wait, just like the human body. We do not waste food. If your body eats some protein, some fat, or some carbohydrates, glucose, that is not going to be excreted. The body can find a way to hold on to that because the body knows that's something good for the body, and that's how we get fat. We get fat because we overeat, and the body ain't letting none of that go. They holding on to that, and they try to start it as best they could. No matter how our skin stretch. So the trees are no different. The trees are not going to have that carbon dioxide come in, and they have too much carbon dioxide, and they can just waste it. No, they can store that. So what they do is they store it in the ground under the tree. And that's why coal is really after the trees dig up, and the roots, the little roots is be the coal. That's what they use for burning to get energy, heat energy, and all the rest of that kind of energy. And that is basically carbon from the carbon dioxide that the trees breathe in. And so, because so much of that was taken out of the ground and burned to make furnaces and big fire and burn iron and things like that, and coal, some trains still use coal to turn the engines, and you got oil coming out of the ground, and particularly in the oil belt region there in the Persian Gulf. That oil is carbon. That oil breathes. Once you let that out, carbon is being breathed from that going into the environment. So that's more carbon by the extraction of oil going into the environment. Carbon monoxide comes from when your car engine exhaust spits out. That's carbon monoxide. That's the carbon from when the oxygen mixed with the fuel and the heat in the combustion chamber, and the valve extracts the carbon so that you can have another clear oxygen coming in for another combustion to keep turning that crankshaft so your car could move. But that carbon comes out of your tailpipe and goes into there. You get carbon from the boat engines. You got carbon from the plane engines. So you get carbon is what, of course, when BPL, big generators of Clifton Pier, even the ones in Big Pond, wherever they are, when they turn it, they are, you see that carbon being going up in the air, the exhaust, most of that is carbon. Because what they're burning has a lot of carbon in it to create the energy, to create the electricity. So that carbon is clogging up the air worldwide. And when the sun heats up the earth, The heat try to escape when the sun goes down, try to go into space so that the next day you'll have fresh air. But we ain't getting no fresh air because while the heat try to escape, it's being absorbed by the carbon in the environment already because there's too much carbon, and it's blocking the heat from being able to pass that carbon barrier. So that's why when we get the sun coming the next morning, heat up the it all over again, that heat now mixes with some of the heat that didn't get out. And the cycle continues. And so we now having the kind of heat we have in our days. And we were small, we go and play all day in the hot sun, but it wasn't this kind of heat. During time we today, they fall out. So this is happening because there's too much carbon in the environment. And the United Nations decided, if we don't do something about that, you see how violent these storms are coming now? If we don't do something about that, the earth will be lashing out at us. Because it's man that created this problem by putting all the carbon there. So now we mandated to take the carbon out. And to take the carbon out, we got to stop using fossil fuel. Because all fossil fuel, the source of that fuel, is carbon. So as long as one of those engines turn, etc., they are releasing more carbon in there to continue blocking the heat from getting out. Excuse me. And that's where we are, people. So we're saying now, solar is an answer to the problem. Because solar does not give off carbon. Solar is really heat energy coming directly from the sun. And it gets something so hot that the energy that it creates is channeled from the capturing state to the storage state. And when you store the heat energy, you gotta get a place to hold that so that you could convert that to the voltage we need for household use and everything else. But what has been happening is the solar is being installed slowly, gradually, but it's getting there. Because right now, the entire world, just in 2023, was able to realize from the time they was utilizing solar panels and solar technology, the whole world now has up to 1.5 terawatts of solar power. And nobody could see it back then, but it's happening now. And they're saying that that's going to continue. And they're going all the way up to some 400, 500 terawatts of solar worldwide. And when they get up to that, that will represent, because this 1.5 terabyte, only 5% of the world power consumption. So right now, it's up to 5%. You know it's up to 10%? Looks like I can run out of time. Up to 10% is nuclear power. Because you may not know, but many countries in the world are utilizing nuclear power plants to provide energy to their communities. I remember when they had the tsunami, the big tsunami in Asia, and the waves came all the way to Japan. And on the waterfront, Japan had a nuclear plant that they said if the nuclear was shifted a bit, some of that gamma ray and some of that poison would have escaped. And once nuclear escapes from the captured stage or a secured stage, it can kill. And it can kill a massive amount of people. So the concern was, and it's the same thing with the Iraq-Iran war right now. In Odessa, the part of Odessa and the southern part of not Iraq, Iran, Russia and Ukraine. the southern part of Ukraine, they have a couple of nuclear power plants that Russia already took over. And they were saying that if Russia was to bomb it, that can wipe out a massive amount of people in that area. So nobody wants to bomb that, eh? So nuclear takes care of 10% of the power generated by way of these power plants worldwide. So we got 10% nuclear and now 5% solar. So that's 15%. Now the other 85% is fossil fuel. So what's being projected right now is that by 2050, they're saying, well, more like 2040, right? But they're saying when this thing has matured with all the solar being generated and installed worldwide, when 2040 comes, well, 2050 is the mark they're using, the world would be 40% powered by solar. And to put that in perspective, right now we only have 5% solar, and that's providing 1.5 terawatt of power. And 1.5 terawatt, a terawatt is 1,000 gigawatts. A gigawatt is 1,000 megawatts. And a megawatt is 1,000 watts, eh? So put terawatt in perspective. When we say we got 200 watts, 1,000 watts is a megawatt. I'm sure they could call Mikey. You call my boy Mikey to see how that goes. What must be 1,000 watts, right? And 1,000 megawatts is a gigawatt. And 1,000 gigawatt is a terawatt. So they say the world now has 1.5 terawatts of power provided by way of solar. Trying to get too technical and up in here. So if you could get more technical than that, call me and tell me what I'm getting wrong. But that's by in my reading and my research, I'm coming up with 1.5 terawatt currently installed solar power currently installed worldwide, and I think they say every year there's another 70 megawatts. 70 gigawatts. A little more than that, but 305 to 400 gigawatts of solar power being installed around the globe. Well, of course, China is responsible for most of the supplies at this time. But just know that we have, on an annual basis, like 300 to 400 gigawatts of solar power being installed. And as time moves on, they will soon end up with their 300 to 400 terawatts, so that the world would realize 40% of its power being utilized by solar and not by fossil fuel. And after that 40%, 10% is being done by what? 10% will be done by nuclear energy. And then we got this thing called the provision, the use of alcohol, which gives off no carbon. Then they have the use of hydrogen. You split the atoms to get hydrogen to cause power, which again gives off zero carbon. So there would probably be another 10%. And I could almost assure you, the last 40% will be wind farms. Because you got some countries and cities out of the sunshine zone, eh? Like up in New York and Canada and up in the Baltics and England and the whole of Europe and all that. They don't get sun 24 hours, 364 like us. Okay? They only get that sun like in the summertime. So when the winter come and they got all that snow and all that stuff going on, the solar will not work for them during those periods. So what they do is they're installing wind farms where the wind is blowing these windmills. And as the windmill turns from the wind pushing it and blowing it, that turning is creating current, power, voltage. And they send that to a generating powerhouse that distributes that. And those wind farms are so powerful that they now have one single wind farm giving off, one single windmill giving off somewhere like 18 to 21 megawatts of power. And they could have 50 to 500 of them in a bank that they call a farm, windmill farms or wind farms. And they putting them all around the world in those areas that will no longer be able to emit fossil fuel, but they still need to generate power for people in those areas. And so when all this windmills or wind farms, solar, and the rest of them, like nuclear and hydro and alcohol and all that, when all of them are in place, the world will no longer be emitting and adding carbon to the air. But our seagrass meadows and these rainforests and everything will continue to sequester carbon out of the air until the world becomes balanced the way it was before man introduced all this carbon to the environment. And that is what is being done to save our Mother Earth from these violent storms and from the glaciers on the North and South Pole melting because we have all this heat trapped in the environment, and they move around the entire Earth eventually and cause those mountains of ice to melt, and the ocean rises to, say, a couple feet over time. It happen overnight. And we can't afford to let that happen. And like the great Mayor Motley would have said in a speech about 2 years ago, 1.5 degrees centigrade. In other words, if the temperature rises on a daily basis to 1.5 degrees centigrade higher, we will start seeing some of these glaciers melting. We will start seeing the ocean level rising. We will start seeing even more violent hurricanes and tornadoes and what you call that thing when the whole earth tremble? Volcanoes, not volcano, what the thing name? Y'all know, earthquakes, right? We will have those things far more violent than we know them to be. And the flooding that we've been seeing recently, flooding out areas that never flooded according to man's record. But they swallowing up houses straight up to the roof. Cars can't done. And these things never happened before. So we know that the earth is in trouble. And the United Nations cannot ignore it because they got to take measures to save the world from carbon and heat. That is what we're doing with solar. That is what we're doing with wind farms. That is what we're doing with hydrogen power. That is what we're doing with alcohol power. And with that, I say thank you very much for listening. Again, you're listening to Maritime Matters. Our show is about to conclude. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. We had a good call tonight. Most of you don't like to call when I go on these long talks with these kind of technical operations. But I thank you for listening, because you call me, tell me, boy, I listening, but I ain't called, but I listening. And I like to hear that. So my producer for the night again is Mr. Kishno Jones, the great Kishno. I want to say good night again to my good old Annie Mae, sponsors, Bahamas Maritime Connection, 101 Pharmacy, Island Care Pharmacy up in Freeport. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for listening. So we're moving to Maritime Matters. Tick, 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 out.
I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay. I've had nothing to live for. Look like nothing's gonna come my way. So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Look like nothing's gonna change. Everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I'll remain the same. Sitting here resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. This 2,000 miles I roam just to make this drop my home. Now I'm just gonna sit at the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
Love 97 FM, the Bahamas. It's a